closing deals to opening minds. This is the Mr. D podcast. I'm Omar Andreasen, and we're about to get real about real estate, success, and the grit that it takes to build your best life. Let's dive on in. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Mr. D podcast show. So today is the first time we've actually had a home inspector on, and his name is Carlos Gonzalez of Atlantic Building Inspections. Carlos, how are we doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, Omar. Thanks for asking. And I can't believe this is the first time you have a home inspector on the show. I feel privileged. That's great.
You damn well should be.
Yeah.
So tell us, how long have you been doing home inspections now?
When I started, I had hair. Pretty long time. I actually started in the late 90s, 98, 99. Started doing inspections and worked for a firm for about 6-7 years, got a whole lot of experience. And then in 2006, I opened up my own company and have been growing it and working it ever since.
Okay. What kind of made you want to go out on your own?
At that point of my career, the gentleman that I was working with was moving on to other things. And so I was left where, do I go work for another firm or do I go work for myself? And of course, I thought it was going to be very simple because I was a very good home inspector already. And so I thought, I'm a good home inspector, so how hard can it be to run a home inspection business? And then of course, I realized that it was very hard. But yeah, that's what made me, so I jumped in. I said, okay, I'm going to do this for myself and see what happens.
Awesome. All right, so you're going to tell us all the secret sauce, right, about home inspections. Because that's what everyone wants to hear. So let's talk about number one. Do home inspectors have, you know how AC companies have, hey, we'll come over every 3 months and check your home. Do you guys do anything like that? Where you're like, hey, you know what? Sign an agreement with us, and every 3 months we'll come and check out the house once a year. Do you guys do anything like that? You offer that kind of service?
We do not. We try to stay away from conflict of interest because we focus mostly on pre-purchase inspections. So folks who are buying a property, we do offer residual inspections in the sense of we will tell them, look, if you find that you move in and you're sneezing and you don't feel good and maybe you need some mold testing, or if your pipes 2-3 years from now start backing up, we will go out and do a sewer scope. So we do have emails in place that go out once a year to our customers, inviting them to give us the opportunity to help them any way we can. But it's not a subscription model that we have, no.
Okay. Now, if I was thinking of selling my home, do you advise that maybe I should do a home inspection first before I even speak to a real estate agent or put my property on the market?
So the short answer is right now, the answer is yes. That also depends on the type of market that we're in. And right now, we have a strong buyer's market where listing agents are working the deal. And I think it's advantageous to have the seller perform a pre-listing inspection, is what it's known in our industry. And basically what we're doing is we're going in and we're giving them all the information. What's the condition of the roof? If the roof is watertight, if it's got X amount of years left of life. And the reason that's so important is for a few reasons. One, the seller can really set themselves apart in this market by having that information. There's a lot of competition right now. There's a lot of listings. So if you're listing a home in a certain area, likely there's 5 or 6 other listings very nearby. So you want to stand apart. You want to stand above those. You want to be able to market the home in a way where you can say pre-listed, pre-inspected, pre-certified home. The property has a roof where the inspectors came in and said roof has 15 years of remaining useful life and is in good shape and it's not leaking. This is all great stuff to use in your marketing and to be able to get somebody interested in the home, if you will. Also, it helps with insurance. As we know in South Florida, insurance is a big deal. So if you can get ahead of that and say, hey, we do have a good roof, we have good structure, electrical system, plumbing, and you can get a 4-point or a windstorm, which we do include when we do the preliminary pre-listing inspection, then again, that's really going to eliminate roadblocks for you so that you can use the inspections to move the deal along and not get stuck, if you will. Does that make sense?
100%. No, I've definitely used them several times. In fact, with the market that we're in right now, we include it within, if you sign up, if you list with us, we actually do that automatically. There's certain things that we'll do. So we'll do that. We'll do an appraisal as well, get an appraisal done quickly, just so we can not chase the market per se, but be in front of it. Yeah. One thing I have found though, let's say, okay, we have that inspection report, the pre-inspection report, and let's say we have an interested buyer, we pass that over to them. Now, some of them don't, they're like, yeah, I see the inspection, but I'm going to go ahead and have my inspector go out there and inspect it as well. Do you find that there's sometimes where the other inspector goes in there and then might find a lot of things that you've missed, or maybe he's done it on purpose just to I don't know, make you feel minimal? Have you ever ran into that before?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Here's the thing, we follow a national standard of practice. However, within that national standard of practice, just like in real estate, there's real estate agents and then there's real estate agents. There's agents that do XYZ and they cross every T, dot every I, go through everything and provide a really great service. And then there's realtors that just do enough just to get by and do what they have to do to get the deal up and running. But with that being said, inspectors are the same, right? There are inspectors that nitpick at every tiny little thing. There are inspectors that they give information that is exaggerated, that is not necessary. And we, for example, stay away from all that. So what we have found is that we'll go in, we'll do an inspection, we'll put in there the things that are really important, and then we'll see that an inspector comes behind and puts things like a broken outlet cover or little things that don't really matter. And then there's a conflict, and then there's an issue. So really, the most important thing to educate your customers on is what matters during a home inspection: roof, structure, electric, plumbing, the big items. Every home is going to have little things. Every home is going to have maintenance issues. And as inspectors, we can choose to exaggerate things, to throw things in there that are not important. And I think that happens a lot. And one of the reasons that I think that happens, Omar, is that inspectors want to show their customers that they are spending their money intelligently. In other words, you're giving me a fee. I want to prove to you that I did a great job. And the only way I can prove that to you is giving you all of this information and giving you all of these deficiencies and all this stuff that I found. But the truth is that doing a good inspection doesn't necessarily mean you have to find bad things and you have to exaggerate or put things in that report that don't belong there. So there's a number of things that we just won't put in a report only because we find them to be trivial and not fair for them to be on there. So you're going to have differences for sure.
No, that definitely makes sense. Sometimes I'll look at a report and like you said, they're like, oh, broken so and so, broken so and so. I'm like, that doesn't really affect the value of the house, man. Obviously, yeah, okay. Something's chipped like an electrical plate or whatnot, but what does that have to do with what you're going in there to trying to find something hidden that we couldn't see with our naked eye,
Right. That's
right?
right.
And saying that, do you have a story that you can share with us, like probably one of your worst inspections that you've done throughout your
Worst,
long career? Like
worst
meaning,
meaning we found something really bad.
like oh, like something that it's an inspection that sticks with you. I was like, man, we went to the house and I can't believe that we found this and this. This is just something. This is just something we don't find.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a few. One of them has to do with termites, and a lot of people have a misconception about termites. Right? There's two types of termites in South Florida. One is a drywood termite, and another one is a subterranean. The drywood termite takes about 30 years to do real damage. So only really a handful of times in my career have I seen a property that the wood has truly been eaten up by termites to the point where, wow, this house is about to fall down. Did an inspection. I haven't done an inspection in 10 years. I focused really on business development and business relationships. But when I was in the field, I did about 22,000 home inspections. And I remember going to one inspection and going in the attic, and I was I was speechless. I couldn't, I was beside myself. The amount of damage that I saw. When I came down, I actually called a structural engineer that I developed a relationship with back then. And he came out the next day and met me there. And it turned out to be an $80,000 roof framing all the wood studs had to be taken off this property. I've never seen anything like that. And in my 26 years doing this, I've only actually seen it 3 times. All these people who freak out over termites, what are the odds, right? They're very low that it's going to be catastrophe.
So did the sale go through? Do you know?
The sale did not go through.
Yeah, I can imagine. $80,000. Ooh. All
Yeah,
right. So when it comes to, let's say if you were buying a house, what are the inspections that you would say, Omar, if I'm buying a house, these are the inspections that I'm going to make sure are being done on the property. Now, what we'll do is we'll give two examples. We'll give one that might be let's say, a 1935 home and a brand new build.
great, great
Actually, yeah,
question.
would you do a home inspection on a brand new build?
All good questions. And I'll tell you, the age of the home is extremely important in deciding what type of inspections you're going to do. So let's start with the brand new home. The short answer is yes. The long answer is hell yes. And the reason I say that is because you would be surprised how many times we've done new construction home inspections and have found serious mistakes that were done. Just because a home is new doesn't mean that the human beings who are out there working and putting the home together didn't make a mistake. I've turned on a light switch in a master bedroom and the alarm system has triggered. The list goes on of things that we saw a roof once that was installed with no flashing, no metal flashing at all. They forgot, they didn't put it in, and they had to rip up the roof shingles and redo it. We've seen it all. So the answer is always yes, because each one of us makes mistakes. No matter who you are, no matter how long you've been in your industry, you make a mistake from time to time. So it's important to have that inspection be that safety net for the new construction industry, if you will. Secondly, a 1930s home, 40s, 50s, an older home. The inspections that I would absolutely have would be first the full main inspection, which is roof, structure, electric, plumbing, air conditioning, interior, exterior bathrooms, driveways, windows, doors, the general inspection. Besides that, I would definitely have a sewer scope, which is when we come out, we have 5K cameras and we run those down all of the waste pipes. And we're looking for pipes that are corroded, cracked, collapsed, leaking, full of roots, congested, clogged. There's so many things that are happening with your waste pipes on an older home. These homes usually have cast iron pipes. They've corroded. The materials are already shot. We've also done sewer scopes on a 5-year-old home where the pipes are PVC and the roots have penetrated because PVC is very soft and the roots go right in. So that's something that if I was buying a home, I would not overlook at all, especially in today's world where I'm going to tell you something that a lot of people don't know. The home insurance industry, the underwriters, they are very aware of this process. And so if you buy a home today, Omar, and you wait 3 months or 3 years and there's a problem with the plumbing, and you put a claim into your insurance company, they're going to say, you had the opportunity to do a sewer scope. Why didn't you do that when you bought the home? And if you didn't do it, guess what? You may not get a check. So this is something that you've got to be aware of when you're buying a home. The next one that I would definitely do is radon. Radon is a gas that's emitted by earth materials, by stones and granites and marbles and different things. Building materials release it as well. It releases radiation. If the content in your home is higher than a level 4, you're breathing it. And it's the number 2 reason for lung cancer in the United States. So very easy to remediate, open a vent, put a little motor, super easy. But if you don't know that you're breathing this radon day in and day out, then you're susceptible to getting sick for really no reason. So I would definitely do a radon. I've done radon every year in my home and in my inspectors' homes, and we give radon inspections at a good deal to the realtors for their own homes because we want everybody to be safe. And then it depends, right? Mold is one of those things. My wife is very allergic to everything, so I probably would do a mold test just to make sure that she wasn't going to be breathing anything that was going to cause her trouble. But those are really the ones. If I was buying a property with a pool, I'd do a pool inspection. If there was a seawall and a boat dock and a boat lift, I would inspect those as well, as those are very expensive items. That's basically what I would do. But I definitely wouldn't skip any of it in the sense that this is, let's face it, most people's largest purchase ever, right? Most people don't buy $2 million cars or $2 million watches. They buy $2 million property. And so why wouldn't you inspect it and make sure that you know what you're getting into?
100%. Sewage scope. How much would something like that cost on an inspection?
Great question. So for a 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, it's $415. And it includes a 5K camera that goes in through all of your waste pipes, videotapes everything with captions, photos with captions, and a 1 page recommendation report stating what we found and what we recommend that you do with it and do next. To add another bathroom to that is $70 per bathroom. 490, between 4 and 600 will cover most homes in South Florida. And you get a lot of incredible information for that. We've had, speaking of stories, we've had many stories of people who said, "No, I don't want to do that." And then 6 months later, the agent is calling us saying, "Hey, the way, remember that guy who didn't want to do that? He just spent $70,000 trenching through his whole house to rip out all the old waste pipes. And he would have known that if he had done the inspection." So this is, again, a big deal because sometimes you can line the pipes, which is maybe $10,000. But if you've got to rip through the home and take out the old pipes and put new ones, you're looking at 50, 60, $70,000. It's a lot of money. So it's not worth it.
And would you say, do you find more issues when it comes to plumbing with homes that are on city or septic?
That is a great question. And the answer is there is absolutely no difference. Zero. Because we're talking about the end. So the home has all of its waste pipes and it ends somewhere. It either ends in the sewer system or it ends in the septic system. The septic system is a private system. So if that system is damaged, if the leaching field is bad, if your actual tank is cracked or leaking, if you've got issues with your septic, it's your problem because you're the homeowner. So having a septic inspection and having it pumped out and inspected during the course of your due diligence and purchasing the home is also a very smart thing to do. But the reality is that the plumbing within the home isn't affected by where it ends up. It either ends up sewer or ends up septic. That's the only difference.
Okay. And then as far as an older home, I didn't hear you say anything about a 4-point inspection. Is that
Well,
something that's important? Would you
well,
say on an older property?
yeah, that's, it's not only, it's not really important, but it is mandated. You will not get insurance in Florida if you have a home that's over 20 years old and you don't do a 4-point inspection. So it's almost like you're forced to do that inspection no matter what.
Hmm.
It's like that when you get life insurance and they ask you to do a physical, they want to know that you're not dying before they give you life insurance. This is the same thing with the home. They want to know that the home is insurable, that the home is in decent enough shape to be insured at this moment before moving forward. So, yeah, it's not so much that's important, but it is important to the insurance company to obtain it. And it's going to be required. You're not going to get away with getting insurance without it.
Okay. Question. Let's say I'm buying a house and there's either like a barn or some sheds in the back. Is that something that you guys would inspect as well, or you just only concentrate on the home?
That is 100% up to the buyer. So we offer the buyer the ability to hire us to inspect just the main structure, or the buyer can add on any structure that is on the property. We've done many inspections where it's like a ranch style, where there's a home and then there's a barn and even a horse stable, for example. We go and we inspect each one of those structures independently if the buyer would like us to do that. We've also done a lot of commercial inspections where the property has multi-use. It'll have maybe a 4-story building with 12 apartments, and then it'll have 2 or 3 little villas or this or that. We will again give that option to the buyer, and then the buyer will decide what he or she wants to do.
Have you ever, what is the weirdest thing you've ever been told to inspect? Is there such a thing?
The weirdest thing we've ever been told to inspect is a motorhome van that was permanently stuck in the ground, but still had wheels. And they were buying it to live in it. And they wanted us to do a roof inspection for insurance purposes. And I'm going, this is just really weird. Like, this is not going to happen. Obviously, that was insane. Like we did a somewhat of an inspection, but they turned it in, and insurance wouldn't insure that. It was a mess, but that was pretty funny. I thought it was interesting.
To ask that because I'm like, you know what? People always ask me, what's the weirdest thing you've ever run into real estate? And I share some of the stories. I'm like, there has to be something like you'll get a phone call. What? Yeah, I guess we could. We never tried it before, but yeah, sure. Why not? Let's go out there and we'll see. What did you inspect on on this mobile home? What would you do besides the roof? What else is there that you had to inspect on the property? Now that
The
I'm thinking about
windows,
it,
yeah, the windows, the doors, make sure the toilet flushes, the shower produces hot and cold water, and that kind of thing. But it was just very strange because it's not an actual structure, so it was really weird. Yeah.
oh, that's funny. You brought up radon gas, and I think that is the very first time I heard of that because it's on the purchase contracts. They talk about radon gas, and they don't. Do they have alarms where you can put in houses now that pick up radon gas, or it's just carbon monoxide, right? But those are
Just
two
carbon
different
monoxide.
things.
Yeah, yeah, two different
Yeah.
things. Yeah, radon
Um,
is odorless, tasteless, and what happens is we have to bring in a machine. We set the machine down for 48 hours. It pulls air, and then when the machine is shut down, it'll send out the information to the lab, and the lab will then send us a report, and it'll tell us how much radon is in the air. And then based on that, you do remediation, which is usually very easy and not expensive at all. And then we'll go back and test again to make sure that the radon is gone. But there is no real alarm to let you know. And then people say, I'm on the second or third or fourth floor. Yeah, but building materials release radon. So if, let's say, you put granite countertops in your kitchen, you could have radon being released in your kitchen. And so that's what people sometimes don't understand. And again, Florida, by the way, Florida just launched a Radon Awareness Month program that is being rolled out because the numbers have been slowly creeping up over the years, and radon is becoming more and more prevalent today
why do you think that is?
because it's a decaying of the earth. So radon is produced, the radiation is released as the earth materials decay, and they decay slowly over time. So the longer that we're here on earth, the longer we're inhabiting a property, the more decay below the property, the more radon is released. So basically, this is something that's going to continue to grow over time. There's parts of our nation that do radon testing on every single deal because radon levels are just known to be very high already.
Mm, you got me scared for a little bit there. I'm like,
Yeah,
damn.
the good news is that it's about $350 to do the test. It goes to the lab, and then remediation is usually you open a hole near the air conditioning system, put in a little vent fan, one of those little exhaust fans with a little
Yeah.
vent to the outside by the attic, and you're now pushing some of your air outside purposely, and you're getting rid of the gas. So basically, the remediation, Omar, is very economical. People don't have to be scared. Testing is super easy. We come in, we put a machine. 2 days later, we pick up the machine. Within an hour, we get the results. If the radon level is above 4, you've got an issue. You've got to do the remediation. If it's under the 4, you're good to sleep at night knowing you're not going to get lung cancer from radon. That's it.
Have you ever, so how about new properties? When you've done the radar testing, has it on average are new properties higher on radon or lower or just one or two?
It depends. We did one the other day that had a 20, and that's
Oh,
very high. But this is a house that was basically all the flooring was stone, all of the countertops were stone, the bathrooms were all stone. I'm assuming that this particular stone and the mixture that was used in it is releasing the radon. So it
hmm.
was a newer home. It was, I think, a year and a half old, and the levels were very high. So I did it in my home, and I have a point 0.09, and my home was built in the 90s. So it just depends on what type of materials are around you and what's underneath your home as well.
Okay. Definitely something we need to talk about and definitely get ordered just to Check the radon. I think ours should be fine because it was built in the 90s. Hopefully, they always say back in the old days, they don't make things like they used to. I don't know, but still, it doesn't matter. Protect the kids and the wife. Is there, okay, me as a real estate agent, I call you and I say, okay, Carlos, I have this client. We want a home inspection. And then you're like, Omar, great, thank you. This is what you should be inspecting. Number one, obviously, I already know that you're going to say sewage scope, which is important, which could definitely save a lot of money. You're going to do the general home inspection. Depending on the age, you're going to tell them to ask them to do the 4 point. How about wind mitigation?
Yeah, that's a great question. Wind mitigation should be done on every single home. It is an insurance inspection as well. And it is the only inspection that will actually result in lowering of your homeowner's insurance policy premium. So the wind portion of your homeowner's insurance is 80% of the premium. So if you can lower 80% of the premium by 40%, then you've done yourself a great service. What is the windstorm and mitigation inspection? It is an inspection where we come in and we identify all the wind mitigating features your home may have. For example, shutters, impact windows, if your roof, how your roof is tied down, what straps are being used to hold down your roof, the geometry rather, of your roof. What shape is it? Is it a hip roof? Is it a gable roof? All of these things we put into a form that has 7 questions designed by the Office of Insurance Regulation of Florida. We give that to you, you send it to your insurance agent, and they'll go ahead and go through and give you discounts based on those features that you have. So it's also a great tool for real estate agents who had, let's say you have a client whose debt to income ratio is tight and you need a little wiggle room. This is a great thing to do because if you can lower your insurance by 40%, you've now given your buyer a little bit more buying power and move that needle, if you will, of the debt to income ratio. So it's a cool tool to use that way as well. But yeah, that's a great question. And the windstorm inspection, we include the 4 point and the wind mitt with every home inspection we do, no matter what. We don't even ask, we don't charge extra. We're already there. We're gathering all that information. When you hire us, you're getting the home inspection, the windstorm, and the 4 point every single time without question and without asking for it.
Gotcha. Okay. And how much do you usually charge for that inspection?
I'm going to give you like just give you a 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, 1,800 square foot home. You're looking in the low 400s, 410, 415, and that includes the windstorm, the 4 point, the home inspection, the build facts report, which is a build facts is like Carfax, but for buildings. And we not only use it for us for inspections, but we give them to you, the real estate agents as well, so that you can use them on your listing presentations or when you're working with a buyer and you take the buyer out to go see 2 or 3 properties. You know how old the roof is, you know what permits have been pulled. You're the expert now. And most of the time, when you go into a situation where you're going to showings with your buyer, the listing agent typically doesn't even know the age of the roof, but you have all that great information for your buyer so that you guys are prepared on that side of it. So we include all of that with our fee. And then we charge extra if you want a pool inspection. It's 95. It's not a whole lot, but we're inspecting the structure, the pumps, the chlorinator, the heater, the pipes, the electrical, the lights, everything. So it's a pretty good deal if you have a pool to have it inspected as well.
Okay. As far as lead-based paint, is that something that you guys do, or is that something you have somebody else do? Because do you do many of those lead-based paint?
That's a great question. The answer is absolutely not. I think we've done 3 in 25 years. Don't even know why that's on the real estate contract anymore. It really should be taken out. Lead paint stopped being used in 1978.
Yep.
If you to get to lead paint today, you would have to scrape off 4, 5, 6 layers of regular paint, latex paint, and then a child would have to consume a massive amount of it. So just thinking that through logically, there is absolutely no reason on earth to test for lead. Lead based paint testing is just not a thing. We don't do it.
No, instead now we added the flood disclosures now, which okay, I'm okay with that. And in saying that, have you ever gone to now knowing that this has been added for this year? You ever go to a property like, hey, I think that there's been even the it looks like the buyer probably ticked on there, no, there wasn't no floods, but a flood on this property, but it looks like we have some kind of signs of flooding that's happened here. And you said that you provide a report. Would that report then show whether or not a remediation company came in and did something?
When we go in and do the inspection, it's like a snapshot in time.
Mm.
So if when we're there, we see signs of it, yeah, we're definitely going to mention it. We're definitely going to have a conversation. We're not going to scare anybody. That's one of the things I believe, Omar, that makes us very different. And we work with so many agents because we don't, our goal isn't to scare people. Our goal is to give them great information, help them make a good decision, but not to scare them. So we wouldn't present it that way. What we would likely do is say, hey, you should get some history, have some conversations, try to find out if something took place here or if something, happened at one point and got remediated, and then give them, just plant that seed where they can go now and ask the right questions, but not really scare them in that way. When we're doing our exterior inspection, as far as flooding is concerned, we are looking for the driveway sloping the right way, the backyard, the back patio sloping the right way. Is there a way for water to get away from this property? Are there gutters? Are there floor drains? What's in place here if there is substantial rain? And we do give information on that as well.
Awesome. I had a buyer that said, "Hey, I don't want to do a home inspection," even though I said I think you should. No, I don't want to do it. Then all of a sudden, 24 hours before the home inspection period ends, she's like, "All right, I want to do one." So it was fun trying to find a company to hurry up and get in there at the last minute. Question is, do you guys offer a service where you like, "Hey, Omar, you know what? We can jump in because it's so hard to find that company that can jump in." Do you have that capability where you're like, okay, we can pretty much do an inspection when we need to within 24 hours?
The short answer is yes. And the reason is we have 13 home inspectors spread out throughout 5 counties. We have another 4 inspectors spread out on the West Coast between 2 or 3 counties, and now we're growing in that area. So the answer to that, the other part of the answer is we have 3 static time slots, a 9, a 12, and a 3. And you may think, why is that important? Because all of our team members know that there's a 9, a 12, and a 3. So if there is an issue where I need to move 2 inspectors or I need to make a shift to be able to help somebody out of a jam like that, we're able to do it because now everyone that's involved in these deals, they know that we have a 9, a 12, and a 3. So it just becomes a lot easier to move the pieces around and get somebody out and get this done for you guys. So yes, the answer is we typically have that anyway. If you call us today, we most of the time we can accommodate you for tomorrow. And so the good news is that doesn't happen too often. I think consumers are intelligent. And I see, for example, at least in our general service areas, where folks do inspections when they are buying a property because I think they've heard enough horror stories and I think they understand that, hey, this is a lot of money that you're going to be spending for a number of years if you're getting a mortgage. And if you're not getting a mortgage, you're dropping a million, 2 million, 3 million, whatever millions into this property. You better know what you're buying. I think that it's important to have that flexibility, and hopefully most people won't go that route because it is a very, and if they don't do the inspection at all, which by the way, interesting, during COVID, a lot of people forewent the inspection. And then
Mhm.
after COVID, they did a study where about 68 to 72% of all buyers during COVID were remorseful. They were not happy with their purchase. I wonder why. Yeah. So
All right, so before we get off, what counties do you guys cover? What area do you guys stretch into so everyone knows?
absolutely. We start Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, Martin, St. Lucie on the East Coast, and we're doing Collier County, Charlotte, Lee, and Sarasota on the West Coast. Those are the counties that we cover. We started in Dade, moved into Broward, Palm Beach, and we've been growing organically ever since. All of our team members, we're all growing together and organically. When I say that, we don't spend a ton of money on marketing gimmicks. We just do good work. We build great relationships with real estate agents. We work with them for the betterment of their customers. Some agents get it, some agents don't. The agents that don't are usually doing this in their career,
Hmm.
and the ones that get it are doing this in their career because they understand that the customer is king. and that serving your customer is what's going to get you the next customer and the next one. And we love working with those agents who have that mindset of we're going to do whatever is best for the customer. That's what we're all about as well. So there you go.
Love that. Love that. When are you guys going to come into Central Florida?
We are creeping our way. We're creeping our way, man. I don't have any more hair to lose. That's not true. I can lose some of this hair right here, Omar. But yeah, the bigger I've learned that the more you take on, the bigger the headaches, the more systematic you need to become, and the more, I guess, detailed you have to be with your systems to make sure that they're serving the customer properly.
100%, 100%. That's something that we're currently working on right now because we're expanding quickly as well. But yes, you hit the nail on the head. And so if you don't have those systems and the people in there to help you with those systems, then it's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Carlos, you know what? For having the first inspector on the show, which I'm surprised, you were amazing. You gave us great advice. I guess the very last thing I have to ask you is, what would you say to anyone here that says, you know what? I'm in the industry of development. Maybe they build houses, maybe they fix up houses or flippers or whatnot. There's no way in hell would I do a home inspection. What would you say to them?
Really? Wow. I would say to them that knowing something is always better than not knowing it. It's just as simple as that, to not complicate it. But in the grand scheme of life, I think that those people who are wise or who we deem intelligent are people who went to find the answers or to find the truth is we don't know what we don't know. So knowing is always going to be a better outcome than not knowing. So if you just on the basic principle of should I do it or not doing it, you're definitely not going to know what's going on. Doing it, you're going to know. I always think you're going to be better off knowing. That's just my thought.
No, it's a good advice. And then on top of that, yeah, you might be a professional at something, but that doesn't mean you're perfect at something either. So it's always good to have a second eye come in and just, yeah, maybe say, yeah, you know what, you were right, or no, this is what I found. So I think there's never an issue why you shouldn't have somebody else come in. But I love that answer. Thank you so much. Guys, hope you enjoyed Mr. Carlos on the show. He definitely gave us some great advice and made me think about some things, especially when it came to the radon and the sewage scope. And so, especially the sewage, that could be very expensive here in Florida. But I just wanted to thank everybody for listening today. Listen, guys, don't forget, actions build empires. Stay focused, stay hungry, and give life that whammo. I'm Omar Andreasen. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Mr. D's podcast show. Take care. This is Omar Andreasen signing off and reminding you that success in real estate and in life is built one deed at a time. Until next time, keep it real, stay sharp, and don't forget to give life a big whammo and keep moving forward.